Hi, welcome everyone. It's Catherine Bird here, and I am here to present this class on channeling for healers. I am a healer myself and a channel, and I've been mentoring and guiding healers, coaches, therapists, channels, shamans, all of those interested in mastering their energy and developing themselves spiritually. So, as we are going through this time of great awakening and transformation and change, so many of us are developing new skill sets and new desires towards being of service in more expanded, profound ways. And this is where I found my work to come in invaluably, because I work both in the energy through personal practices and understanding the energetics and working with ourselves and with others. And then also connecting to the spiritual realms and connecting to our own core essence of our being, our true authentic way of developing who we are in the world. So let's talk about some of these things that we're going to cover in the class, which is the awareness that we might be having that things are happening beyond us, that maybe we're not the total source of everything that's going on in our experiences with ourselves even, but definitely with clients. When things start to come through and move through, when there are shifts in awareness that are happening in our work with others, where we're starting to feel like, what is this that's happening? Things are feeling maybe like they're beyond you. Like, how did I know that? How did I know to touch that spot? How did I know to ask that question? How did I know that they had had that issue in their childhood? A lot of times we feel very confused by these things and unsure of ourselves. We doubt ourselves. We wonder if we should say those things or do those things in a healing session or coaching session. And this can hold us back a lot. So we think that we are coming up with these things. We think that we are imagining these things. And so, of course, we don't want to just put our imaginations out there, right? We don't want to make things up and to put those on our client in any kind of way. So when we are being a ethical practitioner, we will question ourselves and wonder, where is this stuff coming from? And should I be following it? Should I be listening to maybe these little voices or little images that I'm getting, or these messages to do things in sessions? Sometimes we feel so inspired. We feel like we're flowing in complete presence in that moment. And then we're puzzled, we're questioning, we're wondering, we're unsure. We're drawing ourselves out of the presence, out of the experience that we're having with this person, in order to question, to doubt, to have stuff come up and wonder, how do we translate these things? How do we ethically and effectively translate the information that we're receiving in a way that is helpful to the person that we're working with, so that we're not creating an experience for the person where they are disempowered. This is so important when we're working with flowing channeled information in our sessions, that we are not utilizing it in a way to create a power imbalance in the experience that takes the person's healing, their personal investment in them being the healer and them and their part in the process, and that we're not stripping it away from them. Right? So this is a piece that we are looking at when we're working with channeled information that's coming through in healing work. Sometimes we might feel like, wow, this is just too good. How could I have thought of that? How could I have known that? I don't know. Maybe this thing that I'm doing, it feels too powerful. It feels too precise. It feels like too much. And we can, in those experiences, start to shut down our innate gift in this, our innate ability to connect in this way. And so these are all considerations on this path as we start to feel into this part of our work. So how does this happen? Why, how and why? What's going on here? Well, you will know that if you are being in a session with someone, and it doesn't really matter what kind of session it is, when you're focused on this other person, you will notice that you become completely focused. And one of the things about channeling is that there is a realm of openness to it, but also a realm of focus, a realm of precision, a realm of dropping into something that is a very focused experience. And so when you are present with someone, you're completely focused on them, you're very connected to them energetically, probably emotionally, maybe even physically with your hands on them. And you are dipping into their field. You're dipping into their held energetics, their stories, their memories, their illnesses and their diseases and their blocks. You're tapping into these things. And oftentimes, as we are developing our practice, doing some sort of therapeutic work, we might learn modalities. We might learn to work with light or to work with different kinds of therapeutic processes. Yet we're not often taught about the things that can emerge once we start engaging with these therapeutic processes. And we are often connected to this other person. We're connected to their breath. We might match their breath with ours to drop into a state of being synced in with them. And we're not just syncing in that moment to their breath, we're syncing to everything that they are. And as we develop ourselves, as we develop our own spiritual and energetic practices outside of our work, this is very important. As we develop ourselves outside of our work through energy practices, meditation, mindfulness, breath work, different kinds of ways that we're connecting to ourselves, our abilities in these sessions will also deepen and evolve, and we'll start to drop into another layer. We're also working with intention. The intention is always the most important part, right, of our work. So as we're working with this intention towards their highest of healing, towards their evolution and growth, toward them receiving exactly what they need to receive in this moment, we are tapping into a field of potentiality, their potential field of being, which we are starting to call into the present time, into the present moment. So as we're calling in their highest potential, their highest, most whole self, we're calling that into the present moment. We are being a witness to that. And within that, we start to tap into the energetic of that. We start to tap into their wholeness potential. And we start to read that wholeness potential. And as we start to read that wholeness potential, we might get information on things that they maybe should be doing in real life to achieve that wholeness potential. And then also the things that are holding them back from that wholeness potential. We start to read into their memories that are held in their tissues and into their energy field. We start to become aware of the emotions that are stuck inside of their body. And we might even be feeling those emotions or those energies, those stuck areas inside of our own bodies, inside of our own fields. And then seeking to translate those pieces. And to talk about channeling for just a moment, channeling is all about translation. It's all about taking one thing, receiving it in whatever way that you receive, and then translating it into something that can be of use, that's of value. And that is, there's a lot more to channeling, of course, but that is the basic thing that channeling is. It's just being a translator. And all of us receive energy in different ways. And when we're with someone, we will often receive energy, maybe even in a different way than we do when we're just by ourselves. And this is because we are also tapping into their field, into their higher self, into their guides, as well as our own higher self and our own guides, and then other supportive beings and energies that are there to help this work. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So why, like, how is this helping, right? Well, why should you know about this? Why should you know that this is a thing? Well, number one, I think that it's important for us to understand that this is a thing, that you are tapping into lots of different things during these pieces of time, and that there are specific guides that work with you, or that are showing up and working with that specific client, that will seek to come through you. And that if you are able to open up and to be present to that and to work as that translator, then you can bring in another layer of healing. So this work supports both you and the client. Obviously, it's supporting the client. They are receiving information, they're receiving healing, they're receiving guidance, they're receiving support, but it also is helpful for you as well. So when we're working with with spirits, with spiritual beings, with other entities, with guides, we are achieving a greater level of protection and safety in the session, and that is for both of the individuals involved in the experience. But especially for you as the practitioner, it is so helpful to have an awareness that these things are happening, so that you can start to discern inside of yourself and understand inside of yourself when beings who are helpful and going to help your work evolve are showing up. And that means really doing your own personal practice, diving into your own home practice with your own channeling, to start to learn what these specific beings feel like inside your field, inside your body, and then how to work with them effectively. But it is safer to have, it's like a buffer, especially when we're dealing with highly toxic emotions and energies and memories, when we are dealing with highly toxic energy, especially associated with highly advanced diseases. Those energies, as we are working in our sessions, need to go someplace. They need some sort of release, and they need to be taken somewhere. And when we're working with our spiritual guides in this kind of work, they are connected to another plane, or connected to a higher plane of existence. And so they are able to help to purify and remove the toxic and negative energy, emotions, the things that are coming up. They also can help when there are attachments, when there are entity attachments, when there are thought form attachments, these highly charged negative aspects of people that you're working with. There's a lot of toxic stuff out there, and when you're connected to these higher level spiritual beings, it will help to process that out of the room, out of the area, so that your work is a lot easier in the cleaning up afterwards, or you not taking on things. It is, one of my teachers says, it is like putting on the glove before you do surgery. And so you wouldn't do surgery on someone until you put on the glove, and that working with your guides and these doctor spirits, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, in context of these sessions, it is that extra layer of protection. And especially when dealing with entities, with things that are of a more toxic level, it is helpful to have this level of protection in your sessions. Now, another piece is that it can help the work to be even more individuated. So you can imagine that if you are tapping and tuning into someone's higher self, to their personal guides and angels, beings that are connected to them, that have always been and will always be connected to them, that you are tuning into something maybe that they're not aware of. Maybe they're not that connected to their higher self. Maybe they're not that connected to their guides or any other beings that are coming through for them. They're not there yet. And so you being able to tap into that helps them to receive this individuated guidance, this very specific support, so that it's not just another aspect of a modality that is repeated for each person. It's not like a cookie cutter experience that someone's going through. It becomes a very unique personal expression and experience that you're doing for that person. And if you've been doing this for a while, you might notice you might try to do the same thing in a session, and you will get very different results, and you will get certain people who are like anomaly people who all of a sudden they start having a very different experience from what someone else has or from the majority of your clients have. So how do you deal with that experience and deal with maybe some very intense trauma that's coming up, or just a different way that their system is reacting to the work that you're doing? And sometimes we can question ourselves in those moments, but when we're very connected to our higher selves, our guides and angels, the beings that we're working with, and then also with their higher self and their beings that they're working with, we can start to relax more and accept that what's going to emerge inside of the session, what is going to come through us, is going to be for their highest of healings, and start to become more confident in our work in an entirely new way, not just based on a process or a modality that we have been taught, that we have practiced, but based on our own personal confidence in our abilities to tune in and to bring through what's needed to be brought through. When we're working with these higher level spiritual beings, they're connected to a higher level of spiritual light. So they're able to bring in a higher level of spiritual light, and in different frequencies. So different frequencies of light. So you could think about perhaps maybe different colors, that different beings in different places are connected maybe to different colors. This is a really easy way to reflect on it. And that as humans, we are connected to all of this wide spectrum of color. And these different beings are able to drop in and bring in these different color light frequencies in order to help to move out toxic energy, but then to replace, to rejuvenate, to support the person, their energy field, whatever it is that they've been working on, to rejuvenate them and to help them to heal. And we might have an awareness of what someone needs, but we also can have this ability to tune into these different frequencies of light, of love, of forgiveness, of compassion, of grace, these higher level virtues that these beings are bringing in, and to use this supportive energy, these supportive fields of these beings to help to support the work and help to support the client in their path. Now, another reason that this is really supportive for your work is because it drops some of that need to know. Oh, I need to know what I'm doing. I need to know exactly. I need to have a plan. I need to know what it is that I'm going to do from A to Z, and I need to be able to really have everything figured out. And when we start to evolve our work into something that is more authentic, more connected to our gifts, more connected to our guides, then we start to evolve our work. As it is happening, it evolves through us and it starts to change and to develop. We might even start developing our own personal modalities that we work with and then teach other people. We are starting to land, I believe, in this more authentic space. We've been going through a process of learning how to heal and do therapeutic work. And we've been learning lots of things in different modalities, and those are very important and very effective. But a lot of times, where did those things come from? Where did all of these different techniques, all of these different modalities come from? Well, they came through a human being. They came through a human being. And they're also coming through you. So when we are needing ourselves to show up in a very specific, particular, this is the way that I do things way, we can be shunning off this more authentic, channeled expression of our gifts and our abilities. So as we become more aware that this is a thing that is happening and that it's okay, that it's safe, that as long as you are doing your own personal work and your own discernment work and your understanding about channeling, then we can start to develop ourselves to the next level. This helps us to expand our work and our gifts and our service in the world exponentially, more than anything else. And I see a lot of people running around and doing lots of different workshops and modalities and things like this. But really, this is about understanding yourself to such a degree that you open yourself and understand the other realms to such a degree that you're able to be that effective translator of healing and information for others. So let's talk about a little bit about who we're working with here. So I've already talked about how we are tuning into our higher self, to our oversoul, to the aspect of ourselves that is aware of more than this time, this moment, this one human experience that we're having here. There is a greater knowledge of the context of what we're going through and who we are on a soul level, who we are as a complete soul experience. And as we tune into this higher self, this oversoul, we're also connected through the oversoul to other beings and guides, angels, and so on. And so through this oversoul, we start to translate into the world. We start to bring information, light, healing through us to the world. And it is very important to understand this connection and to develop it, to work with it in your own personal practice, and to start to utilize this in a way that's going to support your healing work. You're also connecting to the higher self of the person that you're working with, because they're, no matter how ill they are or what they're going through, where they're at, there is an aspect of themselves that has a greater understanding of why they're doing this, an awareness of, this was a choice that I made to come into this world at this time, to these parents with this trauma, to have certain experiences so that I can evolve and grow as a soul, at a soul level. So in that, we can stop trying to fix people and stop trying to fix someone's pain and get to the place of helping them to understand from that soul level the higher reasons behind the things that are happening, the need to work with whatever it is we need to work with, forgiveness, with releasing shame, with working on relationships, with releasing certain energies, with calling in new energies and new habits, and these things that we have come here to learn. and to grow from and to develop ourselves through. So we're also working with other guides. We're working with angels. There are a lot of angelic beings that are very conducive and focused on healing and supporting humans through the healing process. So there are specific guides that you can begin to work with, either because they are coming through to you, they are showing up specifically, and through your own personal development work, you are starting to recognize them, to communicate with them, to understand them, and then to be able to call upon them and invoke their presence in your healing so that they can show up and work in the way that they are here to be of service. And when you have that understanding of who they are and how they work, and then how to work with them, then your work will become more powerful. Again, you're taking it off of your plate and you're calling in the guidance and support to help this to happen. This will help you have more energy. It will help you have greater clarity, confidence in your work, and to be able to do your work to the next level. We're also working with other guides. So you might be working with different kinds of deities or ascended masters. There are certain specific beings that work in support of, say, exorcistic work. I'm not going to get into that here, of course, but or to work with certain kinds of emotional work, certain kinds of inner child work. There are specific beings that you can start to work with depending on what kind of work you're doing, what kind of therapeutics are you doing specifically, and then based on that, who are you calling in? Who are you specifically calling in? Who are the guides that are showing up for you in your practice and in your development work? And then who are the guides that are showing up for your healing work? And this does require working with yourself and having your own personal practice and working on this so that you can develop this over time and then start to integrate it into your work. This is all about your own personal development and then integrating it into your work. Now we're also working with, and I said this earlier, doctor spirits. So these are beings that have been incarnate on the planet, usually as humans. It's sometimes on other planets, but that have a background in medicine, some sort of healing work, and this is their sole mission, and they are assisting from the other side, again, for protection, for safety, for thoroughness, for effectiveness. And you might, when you start to develop a relationship with your doctor spirits, start to tap into things that you maybe really shouldn't actually have access to or know, or you might start to become more inspired toward a different kind of healing work or modality or research in a certain area based on this connection that you're starting to create with these specific spirits. And this can be very effective for doing different kinds of work, psychic surgeries, all different kinds of work that might come in. It might be very helpful when working with people with chronic illnesses or issues with their immune system, nutrition. There's really, the field is wide open here, and being able to utilize these connections to bring your work this heightened level of awareness and effectiveness. And if you are interested in these things, if you're interested in developing your work and taking it to the next level and exploring the energetics that you need to be able to do this work in a grounded, safe, protected way, owning discernment in this experience, owning your part in this experience, not just letting everything move through, but being very clear and precise in this work, then I have Open Your Channel course and retreat available for you to dive specifically into this kind of work. and to develop your practice based on this kind of work. And in this course, there is a lot of context on working with different kinds of beings and connecting to your higher self, discernment, working through fear, doubt, shame, all the big nasty bugs that we get when we are developing ourselves in this way, and to be working with meditations, energy practices, things that are going to support doing this work in a grounded and effective way, because that's what I'm all about. It's not about blowing yourself out or losing your ability to be truly present in an experience, but about learning how to integrate this fully. So if you're interested in developing this work, I would say just go sign up for Open Your Channel. It is an incredible standalone course if you want to just do the course online. And then also there is the retreat where we practice 9 forms of mediumship. And we get into a lot of different practices and getting to work with each other in a physical presence setting, which is amazing and super fun. So I am going to let you go, but if this has intrigued you, I would love to hear from you and hear what you thought about this and find out what this has sparked within you, and see if I can answer any of your questions. Many blessings, much love to you, and I hope that you have a beautiful day.